Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for Cardano. If you're new to my sessions, these are the key takeaways that you can expect after the session. I will cover the Wyckoff stages both from the weekly and daily time frame, and also like current and the upcoming stages, and the key price levels that Cardano would have resistance or support. Also, any breakout timing indicated by the price actions. So let's get started. As usual, we start with the weekly time frame, and currently Cardano, if we look at it in detail over here, is still hovering around the sign of weakness level that we have around February time. It's still a bit higher than the two signs of weaknesses back in April and June. So previously we talked about 70% coming down to a sign of weakness level. This has been confirmed. However, I'll still keep a question mark here because as of this moment, it's not definite yet whether it's going to finish at this level, meaning above this white line, this white key level of around 63 cents. So this is the top edge of the long-term playground zone, so this white box over here. And then if it's not done yet, there's a possibility for the price to come down, the sign of weakness to come down to that level. Last week the price has tested that particular level, but it hasn't closed over there. So currently, if we look at what's happening like in the first day and 16 hours of this week's candle, there's quite a bit of price surge. However, the volume isn't really that high, so we have to be careful what the price actions are going to do next. And in terms of the time point over here, the breakout time point, there's one formed by this bottom edge of the previous downward channel, and this white key level over here that's around or right before December. When we get to the daily chart, we'll be able to see the like a more exact date close to when that would happen. LPSY, we previously talked about, if the price hits the sign of weakness, there's a chance for it to rebound and show us an LPSY. And this week, what's happening right now, if the candle comes up and challenge this blue bottom edge of the previous downward channel again, then that will show us an LPSY. When we get to the daily chart, I'll also look into one thing to see whether we are actually in a new downward trend, because in the weekly chart is we've got less reference candles for us to draw that particular channel, the channel box, I mean, like the one, this blue one over here. If that has changed course and we have turned into a more steeper downward trend, then that will help us to visualize what's going on. And then obviously there is a chance for the price to come down for this accumulation cycle, from distribution to accumulation cycle. That's the preliminary support. The last time we had this was back in May 2022. That was the period where the price, after the rebound from the sign of weakness, a very low level sign of weakness, to the last point of supply, that's the last leg down all the way to selling climax, and eventually further and deeper tests. So we may be close to that stage, but we don't know yet, because this can go horizontal for longer than we can guess. Just one quick check on the Bollinger Band curve squeeze before we get to the daily chart. Currently, we are still within the squeeze zone. So you see this white, or like this shade at the back, this long bar at the back. Whenever a squeeze happens, when the squeeze force is released, it is going to have a bigger price swing. We've got these examples from the past. Okay, it doesn't tell us the magnitude of it, but the swing will come, and it can happen first on the to the upside and then to the downside, or the other way around. But then it's a good indication to tell us a price swing is about to come. Let's go to the daily now. We went through a squeeze earlier, but it's triggered by this one-off event, even though the previous range was pretty close already. So currently we see the purple lines are very wide and, you know, very distant from the orange. So unless the price in the next 5 to 7 days are going to trade in a very narrow range, which looks like they are going to, then the purple line will come back and show us another squeeze. So probably by end of this week, I guess, or early next week, Monday, or exactly the next time I cover Cardano, then we'll be in the squeeze. By then we will be able to see one more time this shade at the back is going to happen. So for now, let's switch off this while we don't have a squeeze yet. I have put in these tags with question mark in previous session, questioning basically, are we going through an accumulation cycle already? Like, was this actually the sign of the selling climax? Or what is this period that we are going through just the preliminary support? So it's too early to tell as of this moment. So my thinking is more inclined to that what happened on Monday, last Monday and last Tuesday was only an LPSY. And we are not yet in the full accumulation yet. So this may be the prelude of a preliminary support period, and then we will eventually see a selling climax, and then the automatic rally comes after that. So that was what happened back in June. Late June we saw a selling climax at a level around 54 cents, but then the selling climax back in February was at around current level. So that's why I have these two scenarios over here, just to let us know, you know, which one are we actually in right now, because this has been triggered by that one-off event. So we have to be careful not to be too certain about or too subjective about this is a particular case that we have reached a certain point, because we've got two different references that we can rely on. So let's keep the options open and observe what the price are going to do. So here, last Saturday, Friday, Saturday, the price went below the white key level of 63 cents 60. That's the top edge of the long-term playground zone I mentioned in the weekly chart. So the importance of this is, I believe I've mentioned about it last week, because the price found support around that white line on the 11th, and then quickly rebounded just to got rejected by the bottom edge of the downward channel box. And then this week it re-challenged and actually went lower than the 11th and 12th. So that's a warning sign that there is more selling pressure as of that particular moment. But today, when the price went to around that line, it seems to find quite some good support. Some people are buying over there, pushing the price to where we are now. Though let's observe it for a few more days, because this triangle, if the price continues to get rejected from that blue line, eventually we'll get to that point when we get to mid-late December. We're getting close to a breakout timing. I shared many times, if you're new to my session, the price won't wait till that particular date to break out. It's going to break out somewhere along this triangle. And when that happens, it's going to confirm two things. Some people would think, what's the point, like what's the importance of a breakout? One, if it's breaking to the upside, meaning it's re-entering this blue channel, and is it going to finish the downtrend, establishing a new uptrend that breaks above the red, orange key level as well as the ceiling of the blue? That's the importance of that indication. If that's going to happen, then I won't say this is an UTAD now. It's a bit too aggressive at the current macro environment. I'd say probably a second test, somewhere close to the yellow key level. That's around 95 cents. It's already a good challenge if the price comes back to above the orange key level. Okay, so that's the significance of going to the upside, and then to the downside, that's meaning it's the price is going back to the long-term playground zone, the white box area. So this area, basically 70 to 80% of the time in the lifetime of Cardano since 2018 in this chart, the price has been trading within this larger box. Only during the distribution cycle peaks, the crazy time that we're having, or we had back in 2021, early 2022, that the price traded outside of this area. So when this time the price comes back down to the white box, the risk is there may be a prolonged period of trading within this area. Last time it happened, it lasted for 912 days. Okay, that's from 2022 May all the way to November 2024. So that's the importance of going to the downside from this point. So this triangle here is going to decide whether Cardano is going to continue to trade above the long-term playground zone, or is it going to return and potentially trigger a long-term accumulation cycle. And I did mention I'm about to draw a box to see whether the trend has changed in the rate of decline of price. So if I draw this, basically the bottom edge has to touch the wicks of those candles to the left hand side, and then to the right hand side the top of the wicks or the candlesticks touching the ceiling of the box. Okay, that looks alright to me. So if the price continues to trade upwards towards this point, we've got a dual resistance over there around coming Sunday, Saturday or Sunday, either one of the days, because on one hand is the bottom edge of the previous less steep declining channel, and then we have this new declining channel happening. So while the price can still go up, this weekend is going to be key. From this point to that particular level, there's still around about 4% room for the price to climb until it faces rejection, potential rejection, let's put it this way. I'm going to change the previous box to another color, so when I talk about it, it's easier to differentiate. So the purple box was the previous downward channel. The current one is a steeper one, and this actually indicates to us a new potential time point near the end of this month or the first 2 days of November. So the date is pointing to November the 2nd. Okay, if this downward channel, this new accelerated downward channel is what I think it is, like if it is confirmed, then by the end of the month, if the price is still trading within this triangle over here, now we have two triangles, the purple and the white, and this blue and the white. Okay, that one is further down the timeline, getting close to Christmas, but this one is more imminent. basically by the end of this month, or give and take 1 to 2 more days in addition. That breakout event will happen, like I already mentioned. So the significance I already talked about, it basically is the same, going back to the white zone or breaking outside of this downtrend and potentially going back somewhere higher. Just to keep in mind, there are multiple key levels that the price has to break above before getting to this point. Alright, it's a lot in the daily because we are in a very tricky period right now, somewhere between the end of the distribution cycle or maybe a late stage, because for Cardano, neither upthrust or upthrust distribution, after distribution has happened for this distribution cycle. So there's still a chance for them to appear. So I would say it's mid-late stage instead of like the finishing of the distribution cycle. But then that's the interesting part, is during this transition between distribution and accumulation cycle, there are going to be struggles for the price to go. Basically, the bulls and the bears are going to battle for a bit before the price eventually drops to the bottom. Thanks for joining me. See you in the next session.